Hello, welcome to Broker Brains. I'm Shanna with Cascadia Northwest Real Estate.
And I'm Andy Costello with Venture Commercial Real Estate. We appreciate you watching this week.
Yes, thanks for logging in again. We've been talking about today, between the two of us, the NAR settlement. And we talked a little bit about it on our last episode, and that there were the three components of the proposed settlement agreement for the National Association of Realtors lawsuit that has come down. If you missed the last episode, go jump in and watch it, because we talk about the three components being buyer's agency agreement or service contracts, the decoupling of the commission between brokers, listing agents separate from buyer's agent. And in the last episode, we talked about the publication of buyer's agent commission going away. So today we were going to talk a little bit more about buyer service agreement or buyer agency or whatever you call it in whatever market you're in. But it's basically having a contract with your buyer.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't really understand why people are upset about this. When I first got into the business on the residential side, I was trained, you sit down, you do a buyer kind of consult, and you have them sign a buyer agency agreement with you that they're going to work with you and they're committed to you.
And that where I was trained, it was required.
Mm-hmm.
We as realtors, we have a little checklist of things we need for our deal. We always had to have the buyers. It wasn't required by law. I did not know that. It was required by our brokerage though. So mm-hmm. I've always had that mm-hmm. signed.
Yeah. In commercial now, I don't do that. We don't have that. I just assume, and I have a monogamous conversation with people. I'm loyal to you. You're monogamous with me. You're not shopping me. You're not taking my time. And the ones that do, I sort of just say, you can go work with somebody else. We all have the same information. So if you don't like my style, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can go work with somebody else.
I mean, people are so up in arms about having mm-hmm. to get this buyer service agreement signed. And I don't really understand why it's so dramatic, because, people are like, my buyer won't sign it.
Well, then don't work with them.
And then, if you're hungry enough, that's a hard thing to say mm-hmm. is, I'm not going to work with them. Because I've been in the spot where I've worked with people that I wish I could have fired and just couldn't.
Right.
But it's all about how you present it. You can do that buyer service agreement on a showing by showing basis and write it just for the address. So I'm going to show Andy, my buyer, 123 Main Street. And we meet at the front door, and I pull out my buyer service agreement that says, I'm your agent showing you 123 Main Street. And if you buy this house that I'm showing you, I will get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where is the commitment that the buyer should be freaking out about on that? Like, if you're presenting it properly, your buyer should not have a problem signing it. Now, we've all been in situations, and I've shown houses to people more than once, where after I've done the showings, then they've let me know, okay, my sister's an agent, she's going to write it up.
Yeah. I think everybody's been in that situation.
So if anything, this will get you out of that situation mm-hmm. because the fact that you showed them the house makes you the procuring cause. So if they come back and say, I didn't understand how it all worked, I thought anybody could just unlock the door, my sister's going to write it up, then you can send the buyer service agreement over to the sister and get a split of the commission.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see any negatives on using the buyer service agreement. I only see people needing to just kind of practice and understand what it's for, what it means, how to present it. And it should not be as dramatic as it's being made out to be. There's no reason that as a real estate professional, I shouldn't have a contract with somebody who I'm working with.
Mm-hmm. No different than any other profession. You hire a lawyer, you sign a contract retainer, you decide you're going to go to a dentist, you sign the HIPAA, you sign, I'm going to pay. If it's not my insurance company, I'm still on the hook. So as a professional industry that's, filled with professionals,
it is what it is. Right? And our clients should be used to this. Mm. They're signing all of those things that you just listed.
Yep.
So why can't we just present this as part of the normal course of business? Mm-hmm. I'm sure you're used to it, Mr. Seller, Mr. Buyer.
Yeah.
You have to sign HIPAA every time you go to the doctor. Like,
right.
It's redundant, and we're going to do it. And if you don't want to sign a blanket agreement saying, I represent you as a buyer, okay, then we'll just sign one for each house. You can actually reuse the same one, and you can keep adding houses to it. Mm-hmm. You're just getting agreement that while we're doing this one thing right here, I'm representing you. Mm-hmm. And I think for listing agents, it's a good thing too, because now you've got a little bit more, I want to kind of say skin in the game from the buyers. Like, as of right now, I can open a lockbox to any listed house and take in whoever I want to take in. This would kind of eliminate some of that, in that the people I'm taking in are now serious enough buyers that they signed a contract. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just a little piece of it, but
yeah, makes sense to me. Do you want to talk at all about the uncoupling now?
Yes. Okay. So the uncoupling of the commissions also is what's happening. If you are in Washington and you're in the Northwest MLS, you've already know about buyer service agreement. You've been using it required since January. The rest of the country has to start using it in July. And the uncoupling of the commissions, you don't even know it, but you've already been doing it in the Northwest MLS. Because when you do your listing agreement, for the last however long it was that the form was updated, it no longer is just the 1%, the commission, and the agents are going to split it. It's now two separate sections with seller's commission, buyer's commission.
No, this is for agents in Washington, not agents in Oregon. Yes, this is the currently.
Northwest MLS listing agreement. Okay. The RMLS listing agreement also has a way to break it down, but it's not as separate and clear as it is in Northwest MLS, where it's actually commission is now two separate line items. Your listing agent commission, your buyer's agent commission. In RMLS has their own forms that you use through Listing Load. And then there's also the new forms, the Oregon Real Estate Association, OAR, Oregon Association of Realtors, now has their forms competing with the OREF form. So that's a whole nother subject that we're not talking about right now. But the uncoupling just means in the conversation with the seller, you're telling them it's two separate things. We used to tell them, my commission is 5%. I split it with the other side. Now we have to tell them my commission is 3%. We're offering 2% to the other side, or however you're doing it. My commission is 1%. We're offering 2.5%. Whatever your numbers are, they just have to be in the contract. They are now separated. And again, the lawsuit was mostly about disclosure and transparency. So I see nothing wrong with that being broken out like that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah. And I mean, realtors have historically been kind of cagey about how much they're making.
Yeah, well, I think TV also has kind of made it seem like it's an easy career to make six figures in 6 months. And us working in the industry, whether on the commercial side like myself or on the residential side, we all know that to really make six figures, it's you have to work.
You have to work hard, full-time
yes.
plus.
Right. Yes. It's not just the six figures grows on trees and drops in your
I think
lap.
That's something we were going to talk more about in another episode.
We are, for sure.
So if you have thoughts or comments about the proposed, not in effect yet, NAR settlement, especially when it comes to the uncoupling of commissions or using a buyer service agreement, we would love to hear it. Can you throw it in the comments, and we will address those questions as they come in.
Yeah, we would appreciate to hear from our audience, and we appreciate you watching this week. Take care of yourself, and if you can, someone else too. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.